You can trust me, I'm an expert. Well, how's it going there, my fellow internet plebs? It is I, AnxiousCynic, back again to talk to you today about growing your channel in 2020, the year of 2020. So I gave this a little bit of thought and I came up with 5 essential points I would make if someone were to ask me how to grow a channel in 2020, flub their words like that, then these are basically the things that I would tell them. So to start off, this isn't going to be some little 5 points, do this, SEO tags, thumbnail, title, all that kind of stuff. This is how you grow on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Same stuff you've heard from everyone else. This is going to be a little bit more bittersweet, a little bit more realistic of my impression, what I've learned over the years on YouTube, and how I think you can best grow on YouTube and grow as a content creator.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
So without further ado, let's get into number 1. Don't listen to videos like this one. So if you've tried to grow a channel on YouTube, then we've all been there. You've found these videos on YouTube, surprise, surprise, that tell you what you need to do in order to grow your channel. You gotta focus on the titles, you gotta focus on the tags, thumbnail, description, find a niche, all this kind of stuff. And all that stuff's true. We'll get into a little bit of it here in this video. But here's the thing. There's 2 things about this that kind of bug me. One is it becomes a bit too rigorous. There's a lot of rules and techniques. I have to do it this way, do it that way. And I don't think that's what a lot of these people are intending to teach. But if you're new, then that's kind of what you'll take away from it. So it's not necessarily bad to learn those good habits or whatever. But I also don't think that they're the key to success. There seems to be a lot of exceptions with other channels on YouTube where people just kind of did whatever they felt like doing and it took off. So it's like, well, I have to follow all these rules and do all this stuff right, and these people just kind of accidentally came about it. I don't know. So when you follow these kinds of videos, it's kind of like you mark off these like things like it's a checklist and then you're supposed to be successful, and that's not really how it works.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
The second thing that bugs me about it is the people who have channels that are like this, and you're like, oh wow, their videos are getting thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views, and obviously they must know what they're talking about. It's like their videos about how to become successful on YouTube are what made their channel successful on YouTube, because everyone's looking for it. It doesn't matter what genre of video you make, it doesn't matter where you come from. If you're on YouTube and you have a channel and you're trying to grow it, then those videos are going to appeal to you. So every year, just like with this video, there's this whole new reason to make a new one, a whole new audience. Even the people who've watched them over and over are going to come find that new video because everyone's looking for the latest technique to game the algorithm or whatever the case is. So everybody goes, look at these videos, look at my channel. I've got this many views on my channel, this many views on an average upload or whatever. And you look at their channel and all their videos about like how to do this, how to do that, how to grow, the secret to success and blah, blah, blah. Those have all the views, and all of their content, their normal stuff, is sitting there with like hardly any views. So you have to be careful about who you're listening to. And it's not that necessarily their points are untrue or inaccurate. It's just that the tools and things that you employ to make successful content or to grow a channel kind of varies in some ways depending on the content you're making. And a lot of that comes with the niche that you're in. And if you're into tutorials, if you're into like how-to videos and stuff like that, then the search algorithm is what will do a lot for you, and that's what those people are benefiting from. And it doesn't mean that those tools and those methods don't apply to other types of content, but it's not quite as clear-cut as they might make it seem. So with that out of the way, we'll get to number 2. Find what you're into and do a lot of it. So one of the big problems I think a lot of people, myself included, but especially newbies, end up in is they want to start a YouTube channel. They're into one thing or another, and they like want to just figure out what will be popular. They want to just go in and be like, what will get me views? What can I do that other people will watch? And they'll tend to like have their idols on YouTube, like PewDiePie or maybe even Jake Paul, God forbid. And they're like, I'll just do that. But there's a little bit more that goes into it than just copying what's already successful. That can be a part of it. There are a lot of copycat channels and they do get somewhere. But if you want longevity, if you want to enjoy yourself on the platform, if you want to have fun making the videos, then you need to find out what you're into. Because one thing that no one can really pin down is that little spark, that little magical twinkle in the eye that a viewer sees in your channel and you. And I think if you're passionate about what you're doing, if you're knowledgeable about it, if you know what you're talking about, or you're interested in exploring the topic and you want to bring people along with that, and you have the right personality and everything, like there's a lot of kind of X factors, I guess you could say, then that's what will give you the best chance of growing your channel and finding an audience. People don't want to see your take on some video game in a Let's Play if you're not passionate about that game and have an interest in sharing that experience.
You were just making it look like you were playing. You're a phony! Hey! This guy's a great big phony!
Now, of course, you can do the thing like where you get every single new release that comes out and try to play it first and do all that kind of stuff, just as an example for gaming content. But there's already people who've done that. There's already people who've made their mark in that field, and they have kind of the monopoly on the views in that regard. That doesn't mean someone else can't do it, but you want to kind of focus on things that make you happy, because chances are no one's going to be watching your videos when you first start. And if you don't enjoy what you're making, then why bother? And let's say people do find your videos. You upload your first video, it's a smash hit, it goes viral. You know, you got 1 million subscribers in a month, but you don't really enjoy what you're doing. So how are you going to sustain that? So first things first, find what you're into and do a lot of it. Fast on the heels of number 2 is number 3, which is find a niche if you can and pursue it and cater to that niche the best way that you can. I don't know about the whole niche thing. I think it does help people, because if you kind of target your channel for one particular thing, then you can really focus on that. And when people come to your channel, if they like what they're seeing, they'll subscribe and they'll know what to expect in the next video. So finding a niche can be a really powerful thing to grow a channel. Doesn't mean you have to. Obviously for me personally, I haven't really done that with my channels. And as you can see, I'm probably not the biggest channel I've ever seen. But in any case, finding a niche I think is a really helpful thing to do. Doesn't mean you have to, but if you do, if your interest happens to fall into a niche, then try to cater to that niche. So for instance, if you're good at understanding YouTube and how it works, you might cater to the niche of how to make a successful YouTube channel like some of these other people do. If you're really good with Hot Wheels for some reason, you have a huge collection of Hot Wheels and you know everything there is about Hot Wheels, then maybe make a Hot Wheels channel and share your knowledge and try to find interesting ways to do so. Another thing you can do in a niche is look for other people within that niche. So if you're the Hot Wheels channel, like I said, go find other channels that are about Hot Wheels, see what they're doing, and obviously don't copy them, but use them as inspiration. What are people watching? What are they into? What videos do they have that are getting views and stuff like that? So try to mirror that in your own content. Of course, with your own spin on it. Don't try to don't just make regurgitated content that they could have seen on the other channel. But that's one of the other benefits of a niche, is that you can find people similar channels very easily and see what's working for them.
Teach me, senpai, how to be fabulous. Follow by example.
And then nipping at the bud of number 3 is number 4, which is find something that works and keep going. That's not really advice you need to hear. Most people are going to find out like, oh, this video did well, and they're going to keep doing it. But the difference is if you follow the first steps where you're doing something you enjoy, you're passionate about it and all this kind of stuff, and you see that that works, you have to do it consistently. But you don't want to do the same thing over and over. So while you should push forward and keep going and keep making that kind of content if it's what you're into, you don't want to stagnate. So you want to keep innovating. And that's the thing, is it can be really hard, and a lot of people have done it, where they have something that gets successful, they push it as far as they can, and then it starts to drop off. And I would say I'm actually an example of that with this channel, where I produce Minimator tutorials, and that kind of took off a little bit, helped grow the channel, and then some of the interest kind of waned, my interest in it started to wane, and now if I put up a video, you won't see the views of reflected in the subscriber number that I have. So you need to be careful about what niche you pick and make sure it is something you're passionate about. And it also depends on what your goals are on YouTube. If you want to make money, well, then you need a pretty broad niche. You need something that can gain traction and lead to a bigger audience. If you don't care and you just want to stick to like a tight little community, then you can pick something that's maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit lesser known, whatever the case may be. But it's just whatever your goal is, when you find out that something's working, then you pursue that. But again, try not to stagnate, try to keep going with it, keep innovating, and find ways, as your interests grow, as your passion grows into other things, if you can, if they're related to whatever you grew with, then bring your audience along. Try to find ways to integrate those things and bring your audience along and expand to new audiences, things like that. One pitfall of that, though, that I think needs to be addressed is sometimes you'll do that kind of one-off video, something that you didn't really expect was going to do anything, and then it gets a lot of views or something, and you get subscribers from it. So you go, okay, well, I'm going to make more of this kind of content. And that can kind of lead you to violate rule number 2, which is to find something you're into. And if you get something where there's views on that and you kind of sort of take away from what you were actually interested in and go in that direction, first of all, if it doesn't work out, you'll be sad that you wasted your time on something you weren't into that didn't even add up to anything in the first place. But mostly, as I said before, if you do end up successful, you're not going to be doing what you really wanted to do to begin with. And that doesn't mean, sometimes you can treat it as a job and do what you like on the side or whatever. So like whatever works for you, whatever you're into. But you just got to be careful about this momentum thing that happens. Like you do need to find something that works, and you need to keep plugging at that if you see that it's working. But be careful about falling into that thing of where you're trying to please the audience more so than yourself, because whatever it was that initially had the magic, that had the spark that got people's interest, is going to fade. And then you won't be happy with the content, and neither will your viewers.
That's how it goes sometimes, You lose everything, and everything falls apart, and eventually you die and no one remembers you.
So my 5th and final tip for this video is going to be thumbnails, titles, and SEO. They're important. So this is one of the big things most people focus on, and as you can see, I left it to my last tip, not necessarily a saving the best for last kind of thing, but it's because it is important, but at the same time it's not. So the way YouTube works now, most of your views aren't going to be coming from subscribers. They're going to be coming from recommendations and maybe search. You want to appeal to those things. So especially for search, title, thumbnail, SEO is search engine optimization, if you're not familiar, meaning like good tags, good information in the description, good SEO in your title, making sure that if somebody searches for that, your video has a good chance of coming up, things like that. But I've seen so many videos that have terrible thumbnails. They have like hardly anything in the description, if anything, and tons of tags to no tags, and they're getting tons of views. So how much does that stuff matter? You should do it. It should be important to you, and you should focus on trying to make those the best that you can. But does it really work? I don't know. It's hard to say in this realm of YouTube with the whole recommendations thing. Like, people are kind of on autoplay. They're just rolling through videos and stuff. So really, I think if I had to wager, if I had to guess, I would say that your title is probably the most important thing, because the thumbnail will catch people's eyes, but the title is what's going to get you into search results, is what's going to let the algorithm know that your video is similar to this video or should come up in this particular recommendation or whatever. So I think if I had to guess, the title is where you really want to make sure you get that down. Then your thumbnail, because if somebody's just browsing, if they're not reading titles, they're just kind of browsing and looking at all the thumbnails, you want yours to pop. You want yours to be the one that sticks out, and they go, oh, I'll click on that one. Lizard brain done told me to click on it.
Come on, do it. Lay it on right here, do it. Do it.
That's kind of, where you want your thumbnails to be. As for tags and stuff, I don't know. That one's kind of up in the air in my opinion. I do think, again, having relevant tags and stuff is helpful. But there's just so much content on YouTube. Everyone's using tags and stuff. It's like, you can't really isolate any one of these things necessarily, even though, I did say I think titles are more important. But what it comes down to, I think, is having all those things in line. Personally, I think you could probably have really good thumbnail and a really good title, maybe a good description, maybe, and have 0 tags, and you probably would do just fine. But if you're trying to grow on YouTube, I would put them in that order. Title, thumbnail, Maybe those are kind of neck and neck, maybe not one over the other, but definitely title for getting your stuff to come up. Thumbnail to get people to click on it more readily. SEO, particularly in your description and your tags, do the best you can, you know, that's kind of how I would rank that stuff. But it's just me, you know, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, which is possible. But anyway, if you get all those things working together in a synergy and they're all supporting each other and working towards the same goal, like a little team of elves that are pushing your video into the YouTube algorithm, then you'll probably have the best chances of getting views, subscribers, and growth for your YouTube channel. But that's going to be it for me. If you like this video and want to see more like it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my live streams. I've been trying to stream more on YouTube and on Twitch, mostly Twitch, but I might be doing a bit more on YouTube. That's neither here nor there. Probably more information than you needed. What is the word? TMI. Yeah, TMI.
Perfect.